chosen one. If this message has found you on July 20th, don't assume it's random. Some believe certain days carry unusual emotional weight. Days when old burdens quietly begin to fall away. Days when hidden opportunities appear without warning. Days when life, almost silently, starts moving in a new direction. Maybe you've been asking for a sign. Maybe you've been waiting for something, anything to shift. Maybe late at night, when the house goes quiet and your thoughts get loud, you've wondered if your prayers are even being heard. What if this is the answer you've been waiting for? Stay with me until the end, because the seventh miracle is the one most people scroll right past. It's quiet. It's easy to miss. And yet, according to many spiritual traditions, it may be the one capable of changing everything else on this list. Let's begin. You may have found this video during an ordinary scroll through your phone, a quiet evening, a restless afternoon, a moment when you weren't looking for anything in particular. And yet here you are. Some spiritual traditions describe this as a kind of quiet calling. The idea that we don't always find the messages we need. Sometimes they find us, not through loud signs or dramatic events, but through small, almost invisible nudges that lead us exactly where we're supposed to be. So take a breath. Let your shoulders drop. For the next few minutes, set aside whatever you were carrying before you clicked on this video. What follows isn't a promise. It isn't a guarantee. It's simply an invitation to notice what may already be unfolding in your life. Think about the version of you from 6 months ago. The one who couldn't sleep because their mind wouldn't stop racing. The one who felt like they were carrying a weight nobody else could see. Something has been shifting. Maybe you've noticed it in small moments. A morning where you didn't immediately reach for your phone to check what went wrong overnight. An afternoon where a problem that used to consume you for hours simply didn't. You handled it and then you moved on. Many people describe this as peace arriving before the storm actually clears, not because the challenges disappeared, but because something inside began to settle first. Some spiritual traditions call this the calm before the breakthrough, a quiet stillness that shows up right before real change begins. Think of a woman named Sarah, a nurse from Ohio who spent years feeling like she was drowning in responsibilities. Her mother's health, her job, her own quiet grief, she never had time to process. She told a friend once that she felt like she was running on empty every single day. Then, without any dramatic turning point, she noticed something different. She woke up one Tuesday and for the first time in years, she didn't feel dread the moment her eyes opened. Nothing outside had changed yet, but something inside her had. That's what unexpected peace looks like. It doesn't announce itself. It just quietly moves in and starts rearranging the furniture of your mind. If you've felt this lately, even for a moment, some would say it's not a coincidence. It may be the first sign that something larger is already in motion. But peace alone isn't the whole story. Because once your mind grows quiet enough, you start noticing something else. Something happening in how other people begin to see you. There's a strange kind of pain in being overlooked, in showing up, giving your best, and still feeling invisible. Maybe it was a job where your effort went unnoticed. Maybe it was a relationship where you gave more than you received. Maybe it was simply the quiet ache of feeling like nobody truly saw you. Many people describe a season like this right before things change. A season of feeling unseen that, looking back, seems to have been preparing them for something. And then almost overnight, it shifts. The coworker who never acknowledged your work suddenly asks for your opinion. The family member who dismissed your dreams starts asking real questions about them. The friend who drifted away reaches back out, almost as if some invisible signal told them it was time. There's a man named David, a contractor from Texas, who spent 15 years feeling like his ideas never mattered in meetings. He'd speak, and the room would move on, like he hadn't said anything at all. He almost stopped speaking up altogether. Then something changed. Not because he became louder. He simply stopped shrinking himself to fit into spaces that didn't value him. And strangely, that's when people started listening. His boss began asking for his input directly. Clients started requesting him by name. Some call this divine timing. The idea that recognition arrives, not when we demand it, but when we finally stop begging for it. Others simply call it the natural result of growing into your own worth. Whatever you call it, if you have noticed people treating you differently lately, without you changing anything to force it, pay attention. Because being seen is only the beginning. The next miracle is about something far more concrete, the doors themselves. For a long time, it may have felt like every door slammed shut before you could even reach it. The job that fell through, the apartment that got rented out an hour before you called, the relationship that ended right when you thought it was solid. Many spiritual traditions teach that closed doors aren't punishment, they're redirection. A closed door doesn't mean you did something wrong. It often means you were being protected from something you couldn't yet see or guided toward something you weren't ready to find on your own. Consider a woman named Angela, a single mother in Georgia, who applied for job after job for nearly a year without a single callback. She started to believe something was wrong with her. She questioned her skills, her worth, her entire direction in life. Then, through a conversation she almost didn't have, a chance meeting at her daughter's school with another parent, she learned about a position that was never even posted publicly. Within 3 weeks, she had the job. Better pay, better hours, closer to home. Looking back, she realized every no before that moment had simply been clearing space for the yes that was actually meant for her. You may be standing in front of a door right now that seems locked. Some would say that's not the end of the story. It's the setup. Because right when a door swings open, something else tends to happen at the exact same time. Your instincts start speaking louder than your fears. Fear has a way of drowning out everything else. It convinces you to stay in situations you should leave. It talks you out of decisions that could change your life. It whispers that playing it safe is the same thing as being wise. But there's a shift many people describe once real transformation begins. Their intuition, that quiet inner voice, starts getting louder than their fear. You may have felt this already. A sudden clarity about a decision you'd been avoiding for months. A gut feeling about a person or situation that turned out to be exactly right. A sense of knowing, even without proof, that you were finally moving in the correct direction. There was a man named Michael, a truck driver from Michigan, who felt an unexplainable pull to call his estranged brother after nearly a decade of silence. He almost talked himself out of it a dozen times. Fear told him it would be awkward, painful, maybe even pointless. He called anyway. His brother answered on the second ring, and within minutes, both men were in tears. It turned out his brother had been thinking about reaching out that very same week. Neither of them could explain the timing. They just knew it felt right. Some call this synchronicity. Two hearts moving toward each other at the exact same moment, guided by something neither person could fully see. Others simply call it the moment intuition finally became louder than fear. If you felt a pull lately towards something you can't fully explain, some believe that's not random either. It may be guidance arriving exactly when you needed it. This kind of knowing rarely arrives with proof attached. It doesn't come with a guarantee or a written explanation. It simply feels different from ordinary thoughts, quieter, steadier, less frantic than fear, but somehow more certain. Many describe it as the difference between a voice that pushes and a voice that guides. Fear tends to push, loud and urgent, demanding an immediate reaction. Intuition tends to guide, patient and calm, content to wait until you're ready to listen. Learning to tell the difference is, according to many who've walked this path, one of the quiet turning points of a spiritual awakening. And once you start trusting that voice, something even deeper begins to heal. There are wounds that don't show up on the outside. The words someone said to you as a child that you still carry. The relationship that ended in betrayal. The mistake you made years ago that still visits you at 2 a.m. For a long time, that pain may have controlled more of your life than you realized. It shaped your decisions. It shaped who you let get close to you. It shaped how you saw yourself when no one else was watching. But many describe a moment, sometimes quiet, sometimes sudden, when that same pain begins to lose its grip. There's a woman named Rachel, a teacher from Arizona, who carried anger toward her father for over 20 years after he left her family when she was 12. She built walls around that pain so thick that she nearly missed her own wedding day, convinced no man could be trusted to stay. Then, during a hospital visit years later, when her father was gravely ill, something inside her softened without warning. She sat by his bedside and for the first time let go of the anger she'd been holding since childhood, not because he deserved it, but because she finally understood that forgiveness was never really about him. It was about setting herself free. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean what happened was acceptable. It simply means the pain no longer gets to run your life. If you've noticed old wounds feeling lighter lately, or if a memory that used to bring tears now brings something closer to peace, that may not be an accident. Healing often arrives quietly, long before we're ready to admit it's happening. And once that weight begins to lift, something else tends to appear, right on time. There's a particular kind of relief that comes when help arrives at the exact moment you need it most. Not a day early, not a day late, precisely on time. Many people describe this as one of the clearest signs of divine timing, an opportunity that seems to appear out of nowhere, perfectly matched to a need they hadn't even spoken out loud. There's a story of a man named James, a small business owner in Florida, who was 3 weeks away from closing his shop for good. He'd exhausted every option he could think of. Then, a woman walked in, a stranger, simply looking for a gift, and mentioned she worked for a local news station doing feature stories on small businesses. 2 weeks later, his shop was featured in a segment that brought in more new customers in a single month than he'd seen in the previous year combined. He never advertised for that opportunity. He never even knew it existed. It simply appeared exactly when he needed it, through a conversation that could have just as easily never happened. Some call these moments coincidences. Others call them small miracles disguised as ordinary encounters. Either way, if something unexpected has shown up in your life recently, a message, a conversation, an opportunity you didn't ask for, it may be worth paying closer attention to. Because everything you felt up to this point, the peace, the recognition, the open doors, the intuition, the healing, the timing, all of it may be leading you toward the most important miracle of all. The one almost everyone overlooks. This is the one people miss. Not because it's hidden, but because it doesn't arrive as an event. It arrives as understanding. For years, you may have asked why. Why did that relationship have to end that way? Why did you lose that job right when you needed it most? Why did healing take so long? Why did the timing never seem to make sense? And then one day, sometimes without warning, it does make sense. You look back at the version of yourself who almost gave up, and you realize that every delay was actually preparation. Every closed door protected you from a path that wasn't truly yours. Every painful ending made space for something you couldn't have handled any earlier. There's a woman named Linda, a retired school teacher from Pennsylvania, who spent almost a decade wondering why she never had the career she once dreamed of. Then, at 61 years old, she started writing short stories for her grandchildren. Those stories became a small, local book. That small book found its way into a classroom. That classroom experience became the foundation of a program she now runs, helping Other retired teachers rediscover their purpose. She often says now that if her original dream had worked out on schedule, she never would have found the thing she was actually meant to do. This is what the seventh miracle really is. It's not a new blessing arriving from outside. It's the moment you finally look back and understand that nothing was ever wasted. Every delay had a reason. Every waiting season had a purpose. And you were never as lost as you felt. If this message speaks to your heart, some people find it meaningful to write "I am ready" in the comments below. A small way of marking this moment as the beginning of something new. And if even one of these 7 signs feels familiar to you, consider sharing this with someone else who might need to hear it today. You never know who's sitting in silence, wondering if anyone else understands what they're going through. If this message found you today, perhaps today was never ordinary. Perhaps the peace you've been feeling, the doors quietly opening, the intuition growing louder than your fear. Perhaps none of it has been random at all. But you may not see the full picture yet. Most people don't, not while they're still standing in the middle of it. Transformation rarely announces itself with fireworks. More often it arrives the way morning light creeps into a dark room. Slowly, quietly, until suddenly you notice the whole space has changed and you can't remember exactly when it happened. Wherever you are tonight, whatever you're carrying, whatever question brought you to this video in the first place, consider the possibility that you haven't been forgotten, that the waiting has not been wasted, that the version of you reading these words right now is not the same version who needed to hear them a year ago or even a month ago. Keep believing, keep growing, and remember, sometimes the greatest miracle isn't what happens around you, it's what begins changing inside you. If this message encouraged you in any way, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another message designed to walk alongside you on your journey. Thank you for being here, and whatever season you're in right now, you are not alone.